The desert night stretches out before you, endless and quiet, wrapped in a velvety blanket of darkness. The air is crisp and still, carrying the faint scent of sagebrush and dry earth, a gentle reminder of the land's ancient presence. Beneath the sky, stars scatter across the horizon like delicate pinpricks of light, each one seeming to pulse softly as if breathing with the rhythm of the universe. There is a soothing calm here, a natural lull that encourages your body to relax and your mind to settle, as if the desert itself were inviting you to pause, to listen, and to simply be. The silence is not empty. It hums with the faintest movements of nocturnal creatures, the whisper of wind across stones, and the distant call of an owl. Each sound is small, deliberate, and comforting in its own way, creating a gentle symphony that prepares your mind to drift into quiet contemplation. Somewhere across this vast, open landscape lies Skinwalker Ranch, a place whose name has traveled far beyond the reaches of the high desert, whispered in both curiosity and caution. To many, it is simply land, a ranch like countless others, defined by fences, pastures, and rolling hills. But to those who have lived here or studied its history, the land carries a weight that is difficult to explain, a subtle tension that seems to thrum beneath the surface, barely perceptible yet undeniable. And tonight, as you rest in the comfort of your own surroundings, you will be gently guided through its quiet beauty and its deeper mysteries, observing the ranch not with fear, but with curiosity and calm attention. The story you are about to hear is one of contrasts, balancing serenity and subtle unease, light and shadow. While the land can appear tranquil under the soft glow of moonlight, reports over the decades have described phenomena that challenge ordinary understanding: strange lights that move in the distance, unusual animal behavior, and fleeting shadows that do not seem to belong to any creature familiar to this world. Official records are scarce, sometimes contradictory, but the testimonies of residents and investigators alike weave a tapestry of experience that is difficult to ignore. Tonight, we will explore both the observable, peaceful desert and the understated strangeness that has long lingered here, allowing you to experience the ranch as both a calm, living environment and a locus of gentle, persistent mystery. As we begin, imagine yourself stepping lightly onto the dry, sandy ground, feeling the cool soil beneath your feet. The desert stretches endlessly in every direction, hills rising and falling like gentle waves frozen in time. The air brushes softly against your skin, and the stars above shimmer in a quiet rhythm, guiding your gaze upward in silent wonder. There is no rush here. Each breath is measured, calm, steady. You are part of the landscape now, a witness to its quiet expanses and a listener to its subtle stories. The ranch itself seems distant at first, a whisper on the horizon, but as you allow your mind to drift along the contours of the desert, you sense the way it holds secrets, not threatening but patient, waiting to be noticed by those who approach with both awareness and respect. Tonight's story is not a tale of terror or sudden shocks. It is an invitation to walk gently along the line between reality and the unknown. You may hear about phenomena that challenge explanation, and yet every account will be framed with the care of observation and reflection, blending the tangible with the mysterious. Researchers have documented unusual occurrences here, historians have traced the land's long past, and cultural traditions have whispered of entities that move in ways ordinary humans cannot. All of these threads converge on this place, layering experiences across time that create a sense of depth and resonance. In your mind, allow the night to settle fully so that you are ready to observe, to imagine, and to drift comfortably into the quiet rhythm of both the desert and the story itself. There is a gentle anticipation in this calm, a feeling that something unseen may move quietly just beyond the light of your awareness. It is not alarming, merely intriguing, like the soft shimmer of distant lights on the horizon or the faint rustle of wind through the sage. Let this anticipation mingle with your breath, softening each exhale, relaxing each muscle, and carrying your awareness outward to the expanse before you. Skinwalker Ranch will not startle or overwhelm. Instead, it will reveal itself slowly, through stories, observations, and reflections that balance intrigue with calm. You are not rushing into mystery. You are stepping softly, deliberately, savoring both the serenity of the night and the gentle pull of the unknown. As your mind settles further, notice how the darkness itself can be comforting. It allows your thoughts to quiet, your awareness to sharpen, and your imagination to roam freely. Tonight, the story will be your companion, moving with you across the desert plains, under the stars, and into the subtle mysteries that have lingered here for decades. Relax fully, breathe steadily, and allow the calm night to carry you into a space where curiosity and rest coexist. Here, at the edge of the familiar and the unexplained, the gentle night lights await, not to frighten, but to guide you through a story that is as much about quiet reflection as it is about enduring mystery. The desert around Skinwalker Ranch unfolds like an ocean frozen in time, vast and unbroken, stretching toward the horizon in gentle rises and dips. The terrain is rugged but understated, with rocky outcroppings rising here and there, their surfaces smoothed by centuries of wind and sun. Between these rocks, patches of hardy vegetation cling stubbornly to life, sagebrush, yucca, and the occasional hardy cactus that punctuate the muted colors of sand, stone, and scrub. The land is beautiful in its quiet resilience, a place where nature's persistence is visible in every detail, from the wind-shaped dunes to the subtle trails left by nocturnal animals. Even in the stillness of the night, you can feel the energy of the desert, a slow, steady pulse that exists beyond human time, a rhythm that both calms and awakens your awareness. Isolation is a defining quality here, one that shapes the ranch and all who visit it. Few roads lead into this part of the high desert, and those that do wind carefully over hills and across dry washes, often disappearing into the distance like a path to another world. The nearest towns are far enough that their lights do not intrude on the darkness, leaving the sky above unbroken and immense, filled with stars that seem brighter and closer than in more populated regions. This isolation is comforting in its own way, encouraging quiet reflection and a sense of being enveloped by the landscape itself. But it also enhances the sense of mystery. Sounds travel differently here. The call of an owl, the soft rustle of small animals, or even the whisper of wind can carry across the flat expanse, seeming almost closer than they are, and making the ordinary feel charged with possibility. Before modern settlement, this land was home to indigenous peoples, and the history of those early inhabitants still echoes through the desert. The Navajo and Ute communities, among others, spoke of spirits, guardians, and entities that moved through these hills and valleys, existing in spaces that humans could not fully perceive. These stories were not meant to frighten but to convey a respect for the natural world and its unseen layers. Early settlers, arriving in the 19th and early 20th centuries, described the same landscape in more pragmatic terms: open pastures, grazing land, and water sources. Yet even they occasionally spoke of strange lights in the distance or livestock behaving oddly. The land itself, it seems, resists complete understanding, and its combination of beauty and remoteness has made it fertile ground for both wonder and speculation. Environmental factors also contribute to the ranch's unusual character. The desert is subject to sudden temperature shifts, creating mirages and subtle distortions of light that can make the ordinary appear extraordinary. Wildlife behavior is similarly affected. Predators and prey move in patterns that can seem inexplicable, particularly at dusk and dawn. Even the wind can play tricks, bending sound and stirring loose sand in ways that create shapes and forms visible only fleetingly. Many investigators note that these factors alone cannot account for all reported phenomena, but they add layers to the sensory experience of anyone present on the ranch. For a listener imagining the scene, it is easy to feel both relaxed by the natural rhythm and intrigued by the slight, almost imperceptible strangeness that pervades the night. The ranch itself, as it exists today, is both ordinary and extraordinary. Simple wooden fences delineate pastures, corrals mark the presence of livestock, and a few structures hint at human habitation, yet the vast majority of the land remains open and untamed. From the perspective of the night, shadows fall across the uneven ground in complex patterns, and every hill or rise can hide subtle movements just beyond sight. These subtle shifts, when combined with the natural serenity of the desert, create an atmosphere that is hypnotic and meditative. One can imagine standing quietly at the edge of a pasture, the soft crunch of dry earth beneath your feet, listening to the whisper of wind and distant wildlife, while the stars above shimmer steadily in the immense sky. In this way, the environment itself becomes a participant in the story, shaping the perception of events and enhancing the sense that something extraordinary could occur without warning. Even the passage of time feels different here. Nights stretch longer, with darkness lingering and the first hints of dawn slow to arrive. The absence of city sounds, traffic, electricity, human chatter, allows the mind to expand outward, noticing details normally overlooked. The faint glow of distant lights, the rhythmic sway of desert grass, or the pattern of stars overhead. For both visitors and residents, this isolation heightens awareness and sharpens observation, creating a unique psychological landscape where mundane events can acquire an air of mystery. Many of the ranch's most compelling reports come from those who spent long stretches of time alone or in small groups, attuned to every sound and movement, and this heightened perception is woven into the very fabric of Skinwalker Ranch. This setting, serene yet subtly charged, forms the foundation for the experiences that follow. The land invites contemplation, coaxing the mind into quiet attention, while simultaneously preparing it for the unexpected. As you imagine yourself here, walking softly across the cool desert floor, listening to the gentle sounds of night, the ranch begins to take shape in your mind as a place where both calm and mystery coexist. The stage is set for history, eyewitness accounts, and subtle phenomena to unfold, not as a spectacle, but as a gentle journey through a landscape where the ordinary and the extraordinary blend seamlessly under the vast, patient sky of the high desert. Long before Skinwalker Ranch became a subject of modern investigation, this land was steeped in stories and meaning, long carried in the traditions of the indigenous peoples who lived here. The Navajo, Ute, and other regional tribes spoke of beings that moved between forms, creatures that could assume human or animal shapes at will. These entities, often referred to as skinwalkers, were not part of casual storytelling but were tied deeply to cultural teachings and cautionary wisdom. The stories emphasized respect for the unseen and the limits of human perception, and they carried lessons about behavior, morality, and the balance of life in the natural world. For centuries, these tales traveled orally, passed down from elders to youth, ensuring that the land's mysteries were acknowledged with reverence rather than dismissed. When European settlers arrived in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the ranch became more than just folklore. It became a working landscape. Families established homesteads, raising livestock, planting crops, and adapting to the harsh but resilient desert environment. Early accounts from these settlers often noted strange occurrences that they could not fully explain. Livestock would vanish overnight, or return in unexpected condition, and distant lights would appear on hillsides where no roads or towns existed. At first, such events were often attributed to natural causes, predators, weather, or misadventure, but as stories accumulated, it became clear that something unusual was happening. These reports were sporadic and localized, described in journals, letters, and later interviews, but they form a historical foundation for the modern fascination with the ranch. By the mid-20th century, Skinwalker Ranch had entered broader public awareness, although still largely under the radar. Newspaper clippings and anecdotal reports hinted at mysterious phenomena, lights hovering in the sky, strange creatures spotted near livestock pens, and unexplainable patterns of animal behavior. Researchers and ufologists began to take notice, particularly because the patterns were consistent over time and space, and seemed resistant to conventional explanation. Skeptics argued that perception, isolation, and folklore could account for much of what was reported, yet the frequency and consistency of incidents suggested that there might be something worth deeper investigation. Historians note that this blend of folklore, first-hand accounts, and emerging scientific curiosity created a fertile ground for modern study, where cultural context and empirical observation intersect. It was not just the sightings themselves that captured attention, but also the interplay between legend and lived experience. Indigenous accounts of skinwalkers framed the land as a place where the natural and supernatural intertwined, offering a lens through which early settlers' experiences could be interpreted. Scholars of folklore point out that many of these legends carry psychological significance. The creatures often embody human fears, ethical dilemmas, or anxieties about the unknown. Yet the repetition of specific phenomena, flashes of light, unusual animal behavior, sudden noises, suggests that these experiences were not entirely products of imagination. There is a tension here between cultural narrative and observed anomaly, one that continues to make Skinwalker Ranch both fascinating and elusive to modern audiences. In the late 20th century, the ranch gained prominence through the work of investigative journalists, ufologists, and private research organizations. The National Institute for Discovery Science, founded in the 1990s, conducted extensive studies of the property, monitoring everything from electromagnetic fluctuations to environmental changes. Their reports cataloged multiple incidents that defied simple explanation: unexplained aerial phenomena, poltergeist-like activity, and livestock mutilations that could not be easily attributed to predators or natural causes. Government interest, though often discreet, also played a role. Researchers have cited documents suggesting that agencies tracked reports of unusual activity here, noting its potential significance in the study of anomalous phenomena. These historical developments built on decades of legend and eyewitness testimony, layering modern investigation atop centuries of narrative. Even media portrayal contributed to the ranch's enduring historical weight. Articles, documentaries, and later television series explored Skinwalker Ranch not as a fleeting curiosity but as a site of ongoing mystery. Each retelling emphasized different elements, some focused on ufology, others on folklore, and still others on the ranch's unsettling reputation among locals. Historians observing this trend note that the combination of historical narrative, cultural belief, and documented anomalies created a feedback loop, where interest fuels investigation, which in turn produces more stories, deepening the ranch's historical and cultural significance. For listeners, this context provides a sense of continuity, linking the quiet desert nights of today with the whispers of the past, the footsteps of settlers, and the careful teachings of indigenous elders. Understanding the ranch's history is essential to appreciating the phenomena that unfold there. It is not a place randomly chosen for mystery. It is land shaped by centuries of human experience, cultural interpretation, and environmental uniqueness. From the Navajo legends to early settler journals, from mid-century sightings to contemporary investigations, each layer contributes to the story you are about to hear. The past is not merely a backdrop, it is an active participant, giving texture and depth to every light observed, every shadow glimpsed, and every question that lingers in the mind. By gently holding this historical perspective, the listener can drift into the ranch's mysteries with both calm and curiosity, prepared to explore a place where history and the unexplained intertwine seamlessly. As you imagine the ranch across time, the quiet desert itself seems unchanged, patiently watching, holding the stories of those who came before. The hills, the winds, the open pastures, they all carry echoes of voices and footsteps, of teachings and sightings that guide your awareness gently forward. This historical context is the bridge between the familiar and the mysterious, the ordinary and the extraordinary, inviting you to move next into the experiences of those who have witnessed the ranch's secrets firsthand. The experiences of those who have spent time at Skinwalker Ranch are as varied as the desert landscape itself, yet a quiet pattern emerges when their accounts are considered together. Residents, ranch workers, and visiting investigators have all described subtle phenomena that defy easy explanation, and these stories form the heart of the ranch's enduring mystique. Imagine standing under the vast, starlit sky, feeling the cool sand beneath your feet, when your attention is drawn to a distant, flickering light hovering above the horizon. It moves with an intelligence that seems deliberate, pausing and shifting in ways that no ordinary aircraft or vehicle could replicate. The gentle rhythm of its motion captivates the eye without startling, evoking both curiosity and a quiet sense of wonder. Many witnesses describe this kind of observation, a small, almost imperceptible anomaly that lingers in memory long after the moment has passed. Another recurring element in eyewitness accounts is the unusual behavior of animals, a detail that quietly unsettles even the calmest observers. Ranch livestock, normally predictable in their routines, have been reported to react suddenly and intensely to invisible presences. Horses might whinny toward empty pastures, cattle can cluster anxiously in the corners of pens, and dogs may bark at shadows that seem to exist only in the mind's periphery. These incidents are not isolated. Multiple witnesses over decades have described similar patterns. Researchers suggest that such behavior could indicate the perception of energy, sound, or movement that humans are not consciously aware of, though skeptics argue that environmental factors or stress might explain some reactions. The balance between plausible natural explanations and consistent, unexplained observations contributes to the ranch's layered sense of mystery. Some of the most compelling eyewitness accounts involve fleeting, shadowy figures seen at dusk or in the dead of night. One resident recounted observing a humanoid shape at the edge of a pasture, standing perfectly still yet radiating an awareness that was almost palpable. The figure vanished when approached, leaving no trace but an enduring impression. Others have described creatures that appear to shift forms subtly, taking on animal or hybrid characteristics, glimpsed for just a moment before disappearing into darkness. These sightings, while difficult to verify scientifically, are consistent enough in description and location to suggest a pattern worth noting. The stories are always told with a calm, reflective tone, emphasizing observation over fear, and inviting the listener to consider what might exist beyond the immediate perception of reality. Light phenomena are another central element in eyewitness accounts, ranging from small, glowing orbs to expansive waves of illumination that move silently across the desert floor. One investigator described watching a series of gentle, white lights appear in sequence, hovering above the hills before vanishing as if swallowed by the night. Others report multicolored glows, flickering in ways that do not correspond with natural sources such as stars, satellites, or aircraft. These lights often interact with the environment subtly, reflecting off the edges of hills, casting shadows that disappear moments later, or seeming to communicate a presence rather than merely existing as passive illumination. Listeners are encouraged to imagine these lights not as startling, but as soft, mysterious beacons, guiding attention toward the subtle strangeness of the landscape and heightening the sense of wonder rather than alarm. Psychological factors also play an essential role in understanding eyewitness reports. Extended isolation, sleep deprivation, and heightened attention to subtle environmental cues can amplify perception, making ordinary phenomena appear extraordinary. Yet even when these conditions are considered, the consistency of certain observations remains striking. Multiple witnesses, separated by time and circumstance, have described remarkably similar events: unexplained lights, sudden animal agitation, or shadowy figures in the distance. Researchers in fields ranging from psychology to parapsychology note that while human perception is imperfect, repeated, independent accounts lend weight to the possibility that something unusual is occurring. For listeners, this reinforces the calm, contemplative tone. The goal is not to frighten, but to observe, consider, and reflect gently on the mysteries presented by the ranch. Many residents also report an almost imperceptible sense of presence, a subtle awareness that something is near even when nothing is visible. This feeling is often described as neutral or quietly intriguing rather than threatening. It might manifest as a shift in the air, a faint sound, or the sensation of being watched without eyes. Investigators document these experiences with care, noting the emotional reactions of witnesses and the environmental conditions at the time. Such accounts add depth to the ranch's narrative, blending tangible observations with the intangible sense of something just beyond comprehension. In the calm, reflective storytelling of this sleep story, these experiences are introduced gently, inviting curiosity and engagement without tension or alarm. Livestock mutilations, although disturbing in nature, are often recounted in eyewitness narratives with measured tone. Cattle have been found with unusual wounds or missing tissue, often with no clear explanation of predators or environmental causes. Ranch hands sometimes describe arriving at pastures to find their animals behaving erratically, or even fleeing from areas that seem entirely empty. These events, combined with unusual aerial lights and shadow sightings, form a tapestry of experience that contributes to the ranch's reputation as a site of enduring mystery. While skeptics emphasize natural explanations, the careful observations of multiple witnesses over decades suggest that these incidents merit attention, especially when considered alongside other phenomena described in the ranch's history. Eyewitnesses often emphasize timing and context, noting that many phenomena occur during the quietest hours of night, when the desert itself seems most alive. The stillness magnifies perception, turning small movements, faint sounds, and distant glimmers into experiences that feel charged with meaning. It is in this environment, listeners are encouraged to imagine that subtle strangeness takes shape, not as a sudden shock or danger, but as a quiet invitation to observe, reflect, and marvel. The calm desert night amplifies every detail, drawing attention to the interplay of light, shadow, and sound, and creating an atmosphere where both relaxation and curiosity can coexist. Through all of these accounts, one theme emerges consistently. The experiences at Skinwalker Ranch are not usually overwhelming or terrifying, but they are persistent, subtle, and compelling. The ranch seems to invite observation, revealing its mysteries in soft, incremental ways that encourage reflection rather than fear. As you imagine yourself here, under the vast night sky, listening to distant lights flicker or the faint rustle of desert creatures, the eyewitnesses' experiences provide a framework for understanding the ranch, not as a place of horror, but as a living, breathing environment where the ordinary and extraordinary quietly coexist. It is a space that rewards patience, attention, and calm curiosity, allowing the mind to drift along the line between reality and the unexplained, guided gently by the stories of those who have walked its quiet, starlit expanses before you. The story of Skinwalker Ranch is not just written in the whispers of the desert or the observations of residents. It is also documented in official reports, media coverage, and the meticulous investigations of researchers both private and public. While many aspects of the ranch's strange occurrences remain unexplained, there is a surprising depth of engagement from government agencies and journalists, each attempting to document, understand, or at least acknowledge the phenomena. In the 1990s, Skinwalker Ranch captured the attention of the National Institute for Discovery Science, a private research group founded by Robert Bigelow, a businessman with a keen interest in anomalous phenomena. Their work marked one of the first sustained attempts to study the ranch systematically, employing scientific methods alongside careful observation, yet always maintaining respect for the subtle and unpredictable nature of the land. The investigations conducted by NIDS included environmental monitoring, motion sensor cameras, and electromagnetic measurements. Researchers recorded instances of unexplained lights, sudden temperature shifts, and subtle disturbances in equipment, all while carefully cataloging human observations and animal behavior. Official documents released later indicate that certain events were corroborated by multiple independent sources, adding weight to the claims without sensationalizing them. Witnesses described lights appearing in the distance, moving in ways that defied conventional explanations, while monitoring equipment occasionally captured anomalies that could not be attributed to natural causes. Scientists involved approached these occurrences with caution, emphasizing observation and recording rather than dramatic interpretation. In this way, the ranch became a site where meticulous documentation met the subtle strangeness of the desert, providing a bridge between the ordinary and the unexplained. Government interest, though less overt, has also played a role in shaping the ranch's narrative. Declassified documents and investigative reports reveal that federal agencies took note of unusual aerial phenomena, livestock mutilations, and reports of unknown entities. Some accounts suggest that interest was driven by potential national security concerns, particularly the possibility that unconventional technology might be involved. At the same time, official assessments often concluded that many occurrences could not be fully verified, leaving the phenomena in a state of quiet ambiguity. Researchers and journalists emphasized this duality. The ranch was intriguing enough to merit attention, yet the lack of definitive evidence allowed it to retain an aura of mystery. For listeners, this interplay between official acknowledgement and uncertainty reinforces the sense that Skinwalker Ranch is a place where the ordinary and extraordinary converge without demanding immediate explanation. Media coverage added another dimension to the ranch's story. Local newspapers first reported unusual livestock behavior and faint lights on the horizon, capturing the curiosity of nearby communities. As the ranch gained attention in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, national publications, documentaries, and television programs explored its mysteries in greater depth. Journalists often framed the ranch as a place of anomalies, carefully balancing reports of eyewitness experiences with skeptical perspectives from scientists and folklorists. Some articles highlighted the ranch's historical context, tracing indigenous legends and early settler accounts, while others focused on the work of NIDS and similar research groups. Media coverage amplified awareness while maintaining a degree of restraint, emphasizing that the ranch's mysteries were subtle and ongoing rather than immediate or threatening. Skepticism played a significant role in these narratives, shaping both public perception and the tone of reporting. Scientists and journalists alike often pointed to the challenges of studying a location with such a complex mix of folklore, isolation, and subtle environmental anomalies. Many unusual observations could be explained through natural phenomena, misinterpretation, or human perception under low-light conditions. Yet even among skeptics, there was acknowledgement that certain patterns, particularly the consistency of reports across decades, were difficult to ignore entirely. By presenting both the skeptical and investigative perspectives, media coverage allowed the ranch to retain its intrigue while remaining grounded in credible discussion. Listeners are guided to appreciate this balance, understanding that mystery does not require fear, but careful attention and reflection. One particularly interesting aspect of government and media involvement is the way documentation itself contributes to the ranch's mystique. Researchers meticulously recorded each unusual event, noting environmental conditions, witness accounts, and timing. Investigators paid attention to details that might otherwise be dismissed, including the behavior of animals, patterns of light, and even subtle shifts in wind or temperature. Media reports often echoed these details, providing a narrative thread that linked historical accounts to modern observation. This process of careful documentation creates a layered understanding. While no single report may fully explain the phenomena, the accumulation of observations over time forms a credible framework that invites curiosity and reflection. At the same time, the ranch's portrayal in the media has shaped public imagination in profound ways. Documentaries and investigative programs often highlight the tension between scientific rigor and unexplainable events, presenting the ranch as a place where logic and wonder coexist. Journalists frequently include interviews with residents and investigators, giving voice to those who have observed the subtle anomalies firsthand. This approach reinforces the calm, contemplative tone suitable for bedtime storytelling, framing the ranch not as a place of fear, but as a quiet space where the unusual can exist alongside the ordinary. Listeners can imagine themselves alongside these observers, quietly noting lights on the horizon, feeling the subtle weight of the desert night, and appreciating the balance between observation, skepticism, and wonder. Ultimately, the involvement of government agencies and media coverage does more than simply validate events. It contextualizes them. The ranch is neither entirely mythical nor fully understood. Instead, it occupies a space in which careful investigation, historical awareness, and human perception intersect. By presenting these accounts calmly and reflectively, the story allows listeners to explore Skinwalker Ranch in a way that is immersive, credible, and soothing, blending intrigue with a sense of safety. The work of researchers and journalists prepares the ground for alternative explanations and paranormal theories, providing a structured, reliable foundation upon which the mysteries of the ranch can unfold gently and thoughtfully. Beyond the careful observations of residents, researchers, and government investigators lies a realm of speculation and alternative theories, where the ordinary boundaries of understanding are gently challenged. Skinwalker Ranch has long inspired explanations that reach into the paranormal, the cryptid, and the extraterrestrial, blending folklore, anecdote, and imagination in ways that are compelling yet never threatening. These theories do not demand belief. Instead, they invite reflection, allowing the listener to drift along the edge of possibility where curiosity and calm coexist. The ranch becomes, in this light, a place where human perception encounters phenomena that resist easy categorization, encouraging observation, meditation, and wonder. One of the most enduring explanations involves the Navajo legends of skinwalkers, beings capable of assuming human or animal form, often moving in ways that seem beyond natural law. For many indigenous communities, these stories were warnings as much as explanations, emphasizing caution, respect, and the awareness that not all aspects of the world are meant to be seen or understood fully. Modern observers at Skinwalker Ranch have reported fleeting figures that appear human from a distance but shift subtly into animal forms or vanish entirely upon approach. While skeptics may attribute these sightings to shadows, fatigue, or expectation, the consistency and specificity of the reports suggest a phenomenon that resonates with the ancient narratives, creating a quiet bridge between folklore and modern mystery. Cryptid theory is another lens through which the ranch's phenomena are interpreted. Researchers and enthusiasts have proposed the presence of unknown creatures, often described as large, elusive, and capable of unusual behavior. These beings are sometimes associated with the unusual animal incidents observed on the ranch, such as livestock mutilations or the apparent fear and avoidance displayed by otherwise calm animals. Witnesses occasionally describe encounters with entities that move with a speed, intelligence, or manner inconsistent with known wildlife. The cryptid hypothesis is treated carefully within the broader narrative. It is not sensationalized but presented as a plausible, thoughtful exploration of the unexplained. It reminds listeners that mystery often exists at the edges of known experience, quietly inviting observation rather than demanding immediate understanding. Extraterrestrial and UFO theories also feature prominently in accounts from the ranch. Unexplained lights hovering above the desert, sudden movements that defy conventional physics, and patterns that seem deliberate but unidentifiable have led some investigators to consider the possibility of alien presence or advanced technology. While no definitive evidence confirms this hypothesis, the sheer volume of unexplained aerial phenomena has captured the imagination of researchers, scientists, and writers alike. Reports of lights that move silently, shift direction instantaneously, or disappear entirely suggest behaviors that challenge our ordinary understanding of physics and biology. In a bedtime-friendly framing, these phenomena are described calmly, emphasizing observation, reflection, and gentle intrigue rather than alarm or fear. Paranormal and interdimensional interpretations also emerge when considering the ranch's unusual events. Some researchers speculate that the land itself may possess unique energetic qualities, creating localized distortions in perception or reality. Environmental anomalies, such as electromagnetic fluctuations, sudden temperature shifts, or fleeting visual distortions, support the idea that certain areas of the ranch behave in ways that diverge subtly from ordinary expectations. These interpretations are often combined with folklore and eyewitness accounts to construct a layered, reflective understanding of the ranch, a place where science, legend, and personal experience intersect. It is a perspective that encourages listeners to consider not only what is seen, but also what might exist just beyond perception, quietly shaping the world around them. The psychological appeal of these alternative theories is also noteworthy. Human beings are naturally drawn to mysteries that resist explanation, particularly in environments that are isolated, quiet, and richly textured, like the desert landscape of Skinwalker Ranch. Extended observation, heightened awareness, and subtle environmental cues can amplify perception, making the ordinary appear extraordinary. Yet even accounting for these psychological factors, patterns emerge across decades of observation that suggest a degree of consistency difficult to ignore entirely. Lights, shadows, animal behavior, and fleeting figures recur in ways that feel deliberate, yet calm and unobtrusive, inviting curiosity without inducing fear. Cultural resonance further reinforces the ranch's allure. Tales of skinwalkers, cryptids, and extraterrestrial visitors are not confined to anecdote. They exist in a broader cultural imagination that connects listeners to something both ancient and contemporary. Folklore provides a framework for understanding unusual experiences, cryptid and UFO theories provide context for observation, and paranormal interpretations allow the mind to explore possibilities that science has not yet fully explained. Each perspective is layered over the other, creating a gentle complexity that can be appreciated slowly, one observation at a time, without urgency or alarm. For a listener drifting towards sleep, this interplay encourages reflection and curiosity, fostering a sense of wonder that is calming, immersive, and deeply engaging. Importantly, all alternative and paranormal theories are presented with care and balance. Skepticism is acknowledged, and natural explanations are considered alongside speculative ones, creating a space where both reason and imagination coexist peacefully. The goal is not to convince, but to explore, to allow the listener to inhabit the quiet desert night, to witness the subtle anomalies, and to consider multiple interpretations simultaneously. This approach mirrors the rhythm of the ranch itself, calm, layered, and patient, revealing its mysteries slowly and gently rather than in sudden bursts or startling episodes. The ranch, in this context, becomes a mirror for the mind. As one observes the night sky, the soft movement of animals, or the distant shimmer of lights, the mind is invited to wander along multiple possibilities, to consider folklore, cryptids, extraterrestrials, and subtle paranormal influences, all without urgency. The mysteries are never forceful. They are gentle suggestions, quietly present in the fabric of the landscape. For listeners, this creates a meditative, almost hypnotic effect, encouraging calm attention and thoughtful engagement while maintaining the overall serenity that a bedtime story requires. Ultimately, the alternative and paranormal theories surrounding Skinwalker Ranch do more than explain phenomena. They deepen the listener's engagement with the land, the history, and the night itself. Each story, hypothesis, or observation is a thread in a larger tapestry, weaving together human perception, cultural narrative, and unexplained experience. By considering these possibilities slowly and reflectively, the listener can drift comfortably through the ranch's mysteries, balancing intrigue with calm, curiosity with relaxation, and reflection with gentle wonder. The desert night continues to unfold, soft, expansive, and patiently mysterious, inviting exploration without rush, and setting the stage for the ranch's broader cultural impact and ongoing fascination in the collective imagination. Skinwalker Ranch has not only captured the attention of researchers and eyewitnesses, but it has also left an indelible mark on popular culture, shaping the way people around the world imagine the mysterious and the unexplained. From documentaries to books, podcasts, and television series, the ranch has become a symbol of subtle strangeness and quiet intrigue, a place where folklore, history, and modern observation intersect. Media portrayals often focus on the balance between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the calm, expansive desert landscape contrasted with the inexplicable lights, fleeting figures, and unusual animal behavior that have been reported for decades. These portrayals invite viewers and readers to participate in the mystery themselves, cultivating both curiosity and reflection. Books about Skinwalker Ranch often blend investigative research with narrative storytelling, carefully tracing historical accounts, eyewitness experiences, and cultural context. Authors may describe the Navajo legends of skinwalkers, recount modern scientific studies, and highlight the subtle strangeness captured by researchers and residents alike. In many ways, these works function as guided explorations, allowing readers to imagine the ranch at night, to sense the stillness of the desert, and to observe the quiet phenomena without ever feeling rushed or alarmed. For those using this content as a way to drift into sleep, the measured pace of storytelling and careful layering of information mirrors the gentle rhythm of the desert itself, creating a calm yet intellectually engaging experience. Documentaries and television series have further amplified the ranch's influence, often emphasizing the investigative angle while maintaining a reflective, atmospheric tone. Viewers are guided through interviews with researchers, residents, and skeptics, balancing first-hand observations with critical analysis. Cinematography frequently focuses on the ranch's wide, open landscapes, long stretches of desert, and starlit nights, highlighting both beauty and isolation. This visual emphasis reinforces the narrative of subtle mystery, allowing audiences to experience the ranch's ambience almost firsthand. By showing the ranch as both a real, tangible location and a place of persistent enigma, these productions deepen the cultural resonance, encouraging calm reflection while preserving the sense of intrigue that surrounds the property. Podcasts and radio programs have introduced the ranch to even broader audiences, particularly through a slow, conversational storytelling style that mirrors the pacing of sleep stories. Listeners are invited to imagine themselves quietly observing the ranch, imagining distant lights or shadowy movements, and reflecting on both historical and contemporary accounts. Hosts often present multiple perspectives, including skeptical analyses, folklore, and alternative theories, creating a balanced, immersive experience that allows curiosity to flourish without alarm. The ranch's presence in these formats demonstrates how cultural fascination can coexist with relaxation, subtly encouraging both wonder and calm attentiveness. Cultural impact also extends beyond media representation, influencing public perception of unexplained phenomena more generally. Skinwalker Ranch has become a reference point for other locations associated with anomalies, shaping the way people approach unexplained lights, shadowy figures, or unusual animal behavior in different contexts. Researchers and enthusiasts often draw comparisons, noting patterns that echo the ranch's history while highlighting its unique combination of folklore, environmental conditions, and documented observation. For listeners, this creates a sense of connection between one quiet desert night and the broader world of subtle mysteries, emphasizing that curiosity and observation are part of a shared human experience. The ranch's cultural significance is also reflected in the way it has inspired imagination and creativity. Artists, writers, and filmmakers often reference Skinwalker Ranch as a place where reality and possibility intertwine, drawing on its layered history, indigenous legends, and modern phenomena. This inspiration is not about fear or shock, but rather about exploring subtle strangeness in ways that resonate with the human desire to understand the unknown. Even in creative adaptations, the ranch is depicted as a space where patience, attention, and observation reveal patterns and details that are otherwise easily overlooked, echoing the gentle rhythm of the desert itself. Interestingly, the media and cultural portrayals of the ranch influence eyewitness reports in subtle ways. Psychologists note that people familiar with stories about Skinwalker Ranch may interpret ambiguous events in light of these narratives, blending observation with cultural expectation. Yet even accounting for this effect, the core phenomena reported, lights, subtle movements, unusual animal behavior, remain remarkably consistent over time. This interplay between perception, culture, and narrative adds a layer of richness to the ranch's story, reinforcing the idea that its mysteries are not just about what is seen, but about how the mind engages with what is observed. Ultimately, the cultural influence of Skinwalker Ranch is a testament to its unique combination of history, mystery, and atmosphere. It exists simultaneously as a physical location, a repository of folklore, and a source of ongoing curiosity. By inspiring books, documentaries, podcasts, and creative works, the ranch invites audiences to experience its quiet strangeness in a measured, reflective way. Listeners of this story can imagine the desert at night, the soft glow of distant lights, and the gentle rustle of nocturnal creatures, appreciating the ranch not as a site of alarm, but as a space where human perception, imagination, and subtle mystery converge. Through its cultural presence, the ranch also teaches a lesson in observation and patience. The mysteries it presents are never abrupt or jarring. They unfold gradually, requiring careful attention, reflection, and respect. For a listener drifting toward sleep, this cultural resonance reinforces the calm, immersive tone of the story, allowing curiosity and relaxation to coexist. Skinwalker Ranch, in its layered history and influence, becomes both a quiet desert landscape and a symbol of subtle wonder, a place where the ordinary meets the extraordinary and where the mind can explore mystery safely, gently, and fully. In recent decades, Skinwalker Ranch has become the focus of detailed, systematic study, blending traditional observation with modern technology and scientific methodology. The property, now privately owned and carefully monitored, has been equipped with cameras, motion sensors, and environmental measurement tools, creating a controlled framework through which the subtle mysteries of the ranch can be documented. Unlike sensationalized accounts that focus on sudden scares or dramatic events, these investigations proceed slowly, quietly, and with meticulous attention to detail. Researchers often spend hours or days observing the land, noting changes in light, sound, animal behavior, and other environmental factors. For a listener imagining this process, it evokes a calm, meditative pace, the gentle rhythm of study paralleling the slow, steady pulse of the desert night. One of the central aspects of modern investigations is environmental monitoring. Electromagnetic fields, temperature variations, and unusual energy readings are tracked carefully, providing context for reported phenomena. Investigators have recorded instances of sudden electrical interference coinciding with unexplained lights or movements, although no conventional explanation has fully accounted for all occurrences. Such measurements add credibility to witness observations while maintaining a measured, reflective approach. They are not presented as proof of the extraordinary, but as careful documentation of events that warrant attention. Listeners can imagine the quiet hum of equipment, the soft glow of monitoring lights, and the subtle shifts in air and temperature that seem almost imperceptible yet hint at deeper layers of mystery within the landscape. Motion sensor cameras and infrared technology have captured fleeting images and movements that defy easy identification. Shadows crossing pastures, lights appearing in unexpected locations, and animals reacting to unseen presences have all been documented in high-resolution footage. Investigators approach these recordings with careful scrutiny, comparing angles, timing, and environmental factors to rule out natural explanations such as wildlife or optical illusions. Despite extensive documentation, many events remain unresolved, preserving the ranch's gentle sense of intrigue. For a listener, this emphasizes the slow, deliberate process of observation, allowing curiosity to build gradually rather than imposing startling revelations. Modern investigators also prioritize careful logging of human observation, combining first-hand accounts with technology-based data. Residents, ranch hands, and visiting researchers contribute detailed notes on unusual sights, sounds, and sensations, which are then cross-referenced with environmental readings. This creates a layered record in which subjective experience and objective measurement coexist. Historians and researchers alike note that this methodology allows a deeper understanding of the ranch, not by immediately explaining every phenomenon, but by establishing patterns and consistencies over time. Listeners are encouraged to imagine themselves gently observing alongside these investigators, noting subtle movements in the distance or the soft glimmer of lights under a star-filled sky, experiencing a calm engagement with mystery rather than fear. The work of modern investigators also addresses the importance of context. Many phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch occur during the quietest hours of the night, when perception is heightened and environmental conditions can subtly amplify what is observed. Long periods of solitude, attentive observation, and sensitivity to small cues allow witnesses to notice details that might otherwise go unnoticed. Investigators often describe the experience of walking the ranch at night as meditative. The soft crunch of dry soil underfoot, the faint rustle of nocturnal animals, and the subtle shifts of shadows all contribute to a heightened awareness. These conditions create an environment in which minor anomalies, lights, movements, or unusual animal behavior stand out more clearly, inviting careful documentation and reflection. A key component of modern research involves collaboration between disciplines. Physicists, biologists, engineers, and folklorists have all contributed to the understanding of the ranch, analyzing data from multiple perspectives. Biologists study animal behavior to determine whether unusual activity can be explained naturally, while physicists examine electromagnetic readings and light phenomena for conventional explanations. Folklorists provide context regarding indigenous stories and historical accounts, helping to interpret subtle observations within a broader cultural framework. This multidisciplinary approach emphasizes careful, methodical inquiry over sensationalism, creating a narrative that is both engaging and credible. Despite advances in technology and observation, many mysteries remain unresolved. Lights appear in patterns that defy conventional logic, shadows move in ways that cannot be easily explained, and livestock sometimes display behavior inconsistent with their species' typical responses. Researchers emphasize that the absence of definitive answers does not diminish the value of observation. Rather, it highlights the subtle complexity of the ranch. For listeners, this reinforces a gentle sense of curiosity. The land is not threatening, but quietly compelling, offering ongoing opportunities for reflection, imagination, and mindful observation. Finally, modern investigations underscore a broader lesson about engagement with mystery. The ranch is not a place of sudden scares or dramatic events. It is a space where careful attention, patience, and observation reveal patterns that are otherwise easy to miss. The subtle, persistent anomalies invite calm curiosity, allowing the mind to drift along the line between the known and the unknown. In this way, Skinwalker Ranch continues to be a site where science, folklore, and personal experience intersect gently, creating a rich, immersive environment for both researchers and those imagining it from afar. In this quiet, deliberate process, the desert night becomes a companion to inquiry, encouraging both relaxation and attentive engagement. For listeners drifting towards sleep, the rhythm of modern investigation mirrors the slow unfolding of the desert itself, patient, observant, and imbued with quiet wonder. Every faint light, every subtle movement, and every anomaly recorded or observed becomes part of a layered, reflective narrative, allowing curiosity and calm to coexist seamlessly. Through modern investigations, the ranch remains a place where the ordinary and extraordinary meet gently, inviting exploration without urgency and inspiring deep reflection on the subtle mysteries of the world around us. As the night deepens over Skinwalker Ranch, it becomes a place of quiet contemplation, where the desert, the sky, and the subtle phenomena of the land encourage reflection. The events, legends, and investigations we have explored are not meant to overwhelm or startle, but to invite gentle curiosity. In this calm space, the listener can imagine standing under the vast canopy of stars, feeling the soft, cool desert air against the skin, and noticing the faint rustle of nocturnal creatures in the distance. Each sound, each movement, and each faint glimmer of light becomes part of a slow, immersive rhythm, a quiet pulse that connects the past, the present, and the mysteries that remain. Reflecting on the history of Skinwalker Ranch, it is clear that this land carries layers of meaning. Indigenous legends of shape-shifting beings impart wisdom about respect, caution, and awareness of the unseen. Early settlers observed unusual phenomena and recorded them with care, blending practical life with the subtle strangeness of the landscape. Modern investigations have added another layer, documenting anomalies with technology and systematic observation. In every case, the ranch is defined not just by the events that occur there, but by the attentive, patient way in which humans interact with it. This reflection allows the listener to consider the ranch as a space where perception, environment, and culture converge, creating a rich, meditative tapestry of mystery and calm. The subtle phenomena reported at the ranch, from lights hovering over the desert to fleeting figures glimpsed at dusk, encourage the mind to engage in gentle observation. These experiences, whether interpreted through folklore, scientific analysis, or paranormal theory, are not abrupt or threatening. Instead, they unfold slowly, drawing attention to details that might otherwise go unnoticed. The soft movement of shadows, the quiet agitation of animals, or the gentle flicker of a distant light are all invitations to notice, to reflect, and to appreciate the delicate balance between the ordinary and the extraordinary. For a listener drifting toward sleep, this perspective transforms curiosity into a calming, almost meditative awareness, where wonder and relaxation coexist. Considering the role of human perception adds another dimension to reflection. The isolation of the desert, the long hours spent observing the land, and the subtle environmental cues all heighten awareness, creating an openness to mystery that is both safe and engaging. Witnesses often describe the ranch as a place where the ordinary becomes extraordinary through careful attention, and this principle applies equally to the listener's imagination. By imagining the ranch with quiet focus, one can experience the gentle strangeness without fear, cultivating a sense of calm curiosity. The land itself becomes a guide, offering patterns, anomalies, and subtle cues that invite reflection and deep engagement with the environment. The cultural impact of Skinwalker Ranch also invites reflection on the ways stories shape perception. Legends, media portrayals, and modern investigations all contribute to a layered understanding of the ranch, blending history, folklore, and observation. These narratives do not compete with one another but coexist, creating a rich tapestry that mirrors the complexity of the landscape itself. For the listener, this encourages a calm, open-ended engagement. The mind can wander along the edges of known and unknown, consider multiple interpretations simultaneously, and appreciate the subtle beauty of the world while remaining grounded in relaxation. Reflection also involves acknowledging the enduring mysteries of the ranch. Even after decades of observation, no single explanation captures all phenomena. Lights appear, shadows move, animals behave unexpectedly, and fleeting figures remain unverified yet consistently reported. This lack of finality is not a source of tension, but rather a gentle invitation to continue observing, imagining, and contemplating. The desert night encourages patience, teaching that some mysteries are best approached slowly, allowing the mind to absorb, interpret, and reflect over time. For a listener, this creates a comforting rhythm. Curiosity exists alongside relaxation, intrigue alongside serenity. As the narrative draws to a close, it is important to carry forward the lessons of Skinwalker Ranch. The land teaches attentiveness, patience, and respect for both the seen and unseen. It invites calm exploration of phenomena, whether interpreted through science, folklore, or imagination. By observing without expectation, reflecting without judgment, and noticing subtle patterns, one can experience a form of quiet engagement that is both relaxing and intellectually stimulating. The ranch becomes more than a location. It becomes a mirror for human perception, a space where curiosity and calm coexist, and a guide for gentle, reflective thought. Finally, in this reflective space, the listener can drift naturally into rest. Imagining the vast desert under a star-filled sky, with distant lights flickering and shadows shifting softly across the terrain, allows attention to settle into a slow, peaceful rhythm. Each story, observation, and theory explored during the journey contributes to a sense of layered understanding, where history, culture, and mystery intertwine without pressure or alarm. The quiet pulse of the desert, the gentle awareness of subtle phenomena, and the calm presence of the land itself provide a natural cadence, encouraging deep relaxation and a contemplative mindset. Skinwalker Ranch, in its enduring enigma, becomes a place where the ordinary and extraordinary coexist harmoniously, where human perception meets subtle mystery, and where curiosity is balanced by serenity. As the night stretches on and the mind prepares for rest, the stories, reflections, and gentle observations of the ranch remain as a soft, guiding presence. In this calm, meditative state, the listener is invited to notice without urgency, to wonder without fear, and to drift into sleep with a sense of connection to a land that is timeless, mysterious, and quietly alive. As darkness settles over Skinwalker Ranch, a quiet calm envelopes the desert, and the gentle night lights begin to appear. Unlike harsh or sudden illumination, these lights move subtly across the landscape, flickering softly on the horizon in patterns that seem deliberate yet serene. Observers often describe small glowing orbs hovering above the desert floor, occasionally shifting colors from warm amber to soft white, creating a hypnotic rhythm that encourages reflection rather than alarm. The lights interact gently with the environment, casting fleeting shadows across hills and sparse vegetation, while animals respond with attentive curiosity rather than fear. The origins of these lights remain a subject of fascination and gentle speculation. Some investigators note correlations with subtle electromagnetic anomalies, while folklore frames them as manifestations of unseen spirits or protective presences. Regardless of the explanation, their effect on observers is consistent: a sense of calm curiosity, an invitation to watch, reflect, and imagine. Unlike dramatic or startling phenomena, the night lights unfold slowly, allowing the mind to drift along with their soft rhythm, perfectly aligning with the quiet pace of a desert night. For the listener, these gentle illuminations become a guide into meditation and rest. They encourage patience, reflection, and quiet wonder, blending observation with relaxation. The ranch, under the glow of these lights, feels alive yet non-threatening, a space where mystery can exist safely and softly. As the lights flicker and shift across the starlit landscape, the mind is invited to follow their pattern, drifting peacefully into contemplation and sleep, carried by the subtle beauty and enduring intrigue of Skinwalker Ranch.